there's two big things to talk about today. One is Phillip Rivers, but let's start with Monday Night Football because that game was crazy, Tom. It was absolutely, it was annoyingly crazy.
Dude, the majority of those turnovers happened in the second quarter.
Yeah. There was 8 total turnovers.
Yeah, it was 8. Because the game-winning
3 from the Chargers, 5 from the Eagles.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, that was a rough day. The
worst part for Jalen Hurts is that final turnover, the game ender for Hurts. It wasn't even like necessarily a bad pass. That's just an insane play by Cam Hart, who, for the Chargers, their defense is keeping them in it, but like, he's been good all season. They've got a lot of really talented players on their defense, and that's a guy just making a play right there, which is unfortunate because it's the cherry on top of your first 4 turnovers, which were mostly all your fault.
Well, so there's one that says he throws it to AJ Brown and it bounces off his hands. Like, it's a little high.
Yeah, you're right. That one was not his fault.
So it's funny because when you look at the actual breakdown of Jalen Hurts' turnovers, 2 happen in one play, right? Because he does throw a really bad interception on that play.
But he has a bad fumble.
That one, yeah. And then the Chargers fumble it. Hurts picks it up, and then it's another good defensive play because the defender literally, I forgot who it was, just smacks the ball like right out of his hands, and the Chargers pick it up. So you could look at like 3 of the turnovers that Hurts had. You could make an argument like, okay, not completely and totally his fault. And it's just frustrating if you're an Eagles fan because what you saw on the Black Friday game was like their run defense was nowhere to be seen, right? It got run over. And the freaking defense for the Eagles, they put up a good performance. They sacked Justin Herbert 7 times in that game. And I know that they're Herbert's behind a very bad offensive line. Yeah. Maybe that's why he didn't want to do that interview afterwards. But it feels like the Eagles defense held up their end of the bargain. And it was just their offense just kept on just punching them right in the groin, man. Like they were not giving them any reprieve.
I'm just starting to think that's who the Eagles offense is, which is a below average offense that you can't really rely on. I thought the matchup between Cooper DeJean and Ladd McConkey was exactly as expected.
And Ladd didn't do much on Monday night.
Small white receiver going against a small white corner. That's a nightmare matchup for the white receiver. You're getting shut down every time. Every time. Ladd. But my biggest takeaway from that game wasn't about the Eagles, wasn't about their turnovers, wasn't about the Chargers' shitty offensive line, and it was shitty, but they lost Trey Pipkins early, so they're, for all intents and purposes, their third string tackle, who is their starting tackle, exits the game early, right? Wherever the fuck they play him on the line, I don't know. Their interior was bad with their great tackles. Their line sucks. We know that. That was, in my opinion, one of the best quarterback performances of the season by Justin Herbert. If you go and you look at his stats, you're like, what are you talking about? Stats were not impressive really at all. He's playing with a broken hand. He was pressured. I think the final pressure rate was 68% of the time.
A lot.
He was 4% away from being pressured more than any quarterback has ever been pressured in a football game. Okay? He led the team in rushing, which shouldn't happen when Omarion Hampton returns, when they got a 50-yard play from Kamani Vidal. It was
Vidal,
or whatever, but like I felt like the game plan for Herbert by Harbaugh and Greg Roman was dog shit. They were and I don't need I wanted the Chargers to lose because I think it helps the Broncos.
Helps the Broncos, sure.
But I like Justin Herbert, and I was like, you guys are trying to murder your quarterback.
Yeah,
this is stupid football.
Yeah,
but Herbert just fucking gutted it out. He was stiff arming dudes with his broken hand. He's falling and catching himself with his broken hand. He's getting back up and saying, thank you, sir. May I have another, over and over and over again, and making just enough plays to get the win there. It was like And I've given Herbert shit through the years. He's talented. There's no denying he's talented. The Chargers have found ways to win some close games, like to make
lose some close games.
The close games they lose, they blow the lead to the Jags. I have nothing but respect for Justin Herbert after that performance, because it willed me into saying, all right, Herbert, you're a fucking dog. You are a dog, and I can't not respect that effort. End of scene.
I feel like I agree with you, because especially the way that the Bears beat the Eagles, and again, let me be very clear. The Bears offensive line, very different from the current state of the Chargers offensive line, right? So in trying to create some running lanes and opportunity, very different, right? So it's not necessarily you can run it down their throat, but it felt very Bills Josh Allen-esque from a couple years ago, where it was like, hey, buddy, you just go out and you win that football game, right? And he's like, I only got one hand. And he's like, that's your good hand. And then just pats him on the ass and he goes out there. So yeah, I do agree with you. And that's why I think, like, while it was an ugly game on the stat sheet for just about everybody who played in it, you know, besides some of the defenders, it was one of those gutsy performances. And unfortunately for me, it just makes me go, what if, about Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, because it really feels like if this offensive line was significantly improved, as it would be with those two guys in, it's like we're talking about the Chargers in a very different light right now, because I still think like they're probably going to make the playoffs, and I just don't know how far they're going to go if they have to go up against the Texans, if they have to go up against the Broncos defense, like they go up against like these pass rushing units, it's going to be a problem. I just worry about Justin Herbert, man, because that hand ain't going to heal.
I think like you got to put a stake through his heart to eliminate him from a football game at this rate. But yeah, if their offensive line was healthy, I think, you know, it's the Patriots, the Broncos, and the Chargers in the AFC right now as the top three teams fighting for the number one spot. But unfortunately, they're down those two guys, and it's been the story with them all season. And the Eagles, their secondary is very good. I think Quinion Mitchell was thrown out like maybe once or twice in that game. So he eliminates one of your receivers. Like, they're a tough unit to throw against. Like you said, teams that had success running against Philly. And after basically like an opening drive from the Chargers where Hampton scored, and I think even his score a pass too? They just, you know, it was tough sledding. And it's also for like the Chargers, that victory is such like a momentum builder, and I think it's so deflating for the Eagles right now in terms of like the way you look at those teams. The next 4 weeks are going to be so wild because every team has, well, you know, except for the ones that are already eliminated, but all the teams still in the mix, 3 or 4 teams in each, the NFC and AFC, that are not in the playoffs right now, that I'm like, that team could be in there easily. So it's going to be crazy. I'm excited for the next 4 games.
Dude, it's gonna be an insanely exciting way to finish the season. Legit, 4 games left, no more bye weeks, right? And now it's just gonna be a sprint to the playoffs, which might be the most chaotic playoffs we've seen in quite some time. And there's a good shot that we don't see either the Chiefs or the Eagles in the Super Bowl. You know, the Eagles, they get into the playoffs, anything can happen, right? I think especially this year, but yeah, they losing 3 in a row now, right? Because it was the Cowboys and then the Bears and now the Chargers. The good news for them is that the Cowboys also lost, you know, so they don't have to really panic at all. That makes the Cowboys' loss look even worse to the Lions, but I think that they're still going to be able to hold on and win the division, but they just don't feel like the same team for a litany of reasons, whether you look at their offensive line, whether you look at Saquon, of course. And Saquon had some nice runs, right, in that game, but he's just nowhere near where he was last year. And that was a huge part of their identity. And yeah, Jalen Hurts, I don't know if it's just one bad game, but I think Darian, because I have defended Jalen Hurts a lot, especially last season, because he was getting a lot of crap last season too. And then he went and had the playoffs that he had. And then, of course, you know, had the Super Bowl that he had. But I feel like it's because that offense has not been elevated by Hurts's play. I think that's where some folks are maybe coming from. But there are many things you look at that Eagles offense that are not working. The run game's not working. The offensive line is different. The play calling's not working. Hurts is not having his best. Like, there's a number of things that are contributing as to why the Eagles are in the position that they're in. And they're still going to be a playoff team, And so I think they have enough talented on both sides of the ball that I don't know if they're going to figure it out with only 4 games left in the regular season, but
they can't throw consistently. They can't run consistently.
It's kind of an issue.
And their offensive line isn't as dominant